They told me no human could survive more than 10 minutes outside the Arcadia station's oxygen field, but I had been standing there for 20. The shimmering veil of atmosphere around me pulsed with cyan light, stitched into existence by a lattice of quantum stabilizers humming beneath my boots. Beyond it stretched the horizon of Neurelia, an oceanic planet with violet waves that broke in slow, luminous curls, their light reflecting off the rings that encircled the sky. We were here to study life, or so the mission brief said. But we all knew why I had volunteered. Her name was Lysithea. She wasn't human. The first time I saw her, she was standing at the edge of the translucent sea. Her back turned, hair flowing like spun glass, catching the ultraviolet sun. Her skin shimmered faintly, not pale, but almost crystalline, refracting the faintest prism of colors. I whispered under my breath, half to myself, half to the universe. "She's beautiful." And then, impossibly, she turned. Her eyes were like twin fragments of a nebula. "I heard you," she said. That was 3 cycles ago. Since then, I had learned that Neurelians didn't communicate as we did. They didn't just hear sounds. They felt them, absorbed the resonance of intent, emotion, and meaning directly through the electromagnetic hum of thought. To speak near them was to touch them. And I, the quiet, broken astrophysicist who had lost everything to a dying Earth, had accidentally confessed something that would change both our species. The beginning, arrival on Neurelia. Our shuttle descended through the upper atmosphere like a bead of mercury sliding down glass. The air shimmered in rippling waves, dense with photonic particles. From orbit, Neurelia looked serene, but the readings told another story. The planet was alive in a way no world should be. The oceans pulsed faintly with electrical life. The sky itself had a nervous system. "Keep your respirator sealed," Commander Ellis said, his voice dry through comms. "We're in uncharted biospace." I nodded, though my thoughts were elsewhere. I wasn't here for science anymore. Earth had been dying for years. Oceans acidified, sky turned into a dull chemical bruise. I'd lost my wife, Mara, in one of the radiation storms that swept through the Pacific arcology. Since then, I'd worked in silence, chasing equations and gravitational anomalies, pretending meaning could be found in data. Then came the signal, a transmission from Deep Space Probe Vigilant 9. 3 repeating tones. A structure too deliberate to be random. And so, Arcadia Station was launched. We found Neurelia after 13 months of FTL drift. And her, Lysithea, waiting as if she had known we'd arrive. The middle, the woman who heard thoughts. She approached us on the 3rd day. We had set up a perimeter, scanners sweeping, drones analyzing the molecular composition of the air, a symphony of sterile science. Then the air rippled, and she appeared from the haze. "Contact!" shouted Ellis. "All units!" "Wait," I said. My hand went instinctively to my chest, a gesture of calm. She wasn't armed. She wasn't even human. Her body was bioluminescent in places, glowing faintly at the collarbone and wrists, where veins of light pulsed gently beneath her translucent skin. When she moved, it was like watching fluid crystal flow. I remember whispering it then. "She's beautiful." The translator chip hadn't yet been configured. But before anyone could react, she turned to me, eyes like galaxies collapsing inward. "I heard you," she said in perfect English. The air went still. Ellis lowered his weapon. My heart stopped. She looked at me with something between curiosity and sorrow. "I heard the sound of your mind," she continued. "Your shape of thought." Later I learned her species, the Litheri, were not telepaths in the human sense. They resonated with intention. Sound and meaning were intertwined. When I spoke aloud, she felt the shape of the words ripple through the field of her body. Over the following weeks, our teams interacted cautiously. The Lithari were peaceful, luminous beings, their civilization woven seamlessly into the planet itself. Their homes were coral-like structures that grew directly from the sea, singing low harmonic notes at dusk. They shared no written language, only resonance patterns encoded in waves of color and sound. But she, Lysithea, seemed different. She was drawn to me, and I to her. Connection. We met each evening at the edge of the violet sea, where the light bled into night. She would stand silent as the twin moons rose, and I would try to explain Earth's languages, mathematics, and poetry. She listened not with ears but with presence, the way silence listens to music. Once, I recited to her a line from an old Terran poet. Love is an echo in the void that never fades. She tilted her head, processing the vibration of the words. Echo, she repeated softly, the sound glimmering with light across her throat. You mean, memory of feeling? Yes, I said. Something that stays even when the source is gone. Her eyes dimmed slightly. Then I carry many echoes. I asked her what that meant, but she didn't answer. Instead, she reached out, her fingers hovering just above my skin, close enough to feel the faint hum of energy between us. Human, she whispered. You speak from brokenness. And she was right. Beneath my calm exterior I was hollow, a man surviving on inertia and regret. But she didn't recoil. She resonated with it. Our connection deepened, though we barely touched. To the Lithari, touch was sacred. It was the merging of resonance, the exchange of entire memories. And yet I longed for it. Every evening, standing inches from her, I felt like I was orbiting the surface of a star, unable to fall in without being destroyed. Discovery. By the second month, our scientists had realized something terrifying. Nurelia wasn't just alive, it was sentient. The planet's biosphere functioned as a neural lattice, and the Lithari were extensions of it, living nodes of consciousness. The entire world was one mind, dreaming in waves and light. Ellis wanted samples. He ordered extraction drills deployed into the ocean floor to gather core material for analysis. I argued against it. You can't just drill into something that thinks, I said. Then we'll ask it for permission, he snapped. And last I checked, you're our lead xenolinguist, so ask. I turned to Lysithea that night, the sea casting ripples of light across her face. They want to take part of your world, I said softly. Study it. Her expression changed, a shimmer of gold fading into deep indigo, the Lithari color of grief. To take from Nurelia is to wound her, she said. You do not cut pieces from your own mind to understand your thoughts. I'll stop them, I promised. But I was only human, and promises mean little against protocol. The next morning the drills descended. The ocean screamed. Not sound, resonance. Every cell in my body vibrated in pain. The sky darkened, the rings flickered. Waves rose high enough to eclipse the horizon. The Lithari collapsed across the shores, clutching their glowing chests as though something inside them was tearing apart. Lysithea fell into my arms, trembling. She is bleeding, she whispered. The world is bleeding. I shouted into comms, ordering a full stop, but the feedback from the resonance field destroyed the station's systems. Lightning tore through the sky in veins of white fire. And then silence. When I awoke, I was alone on the shore, surrounded by the wreckage of Arcadia's lower modules. Ellis and the others were gone. But Lysithea was still breathing, faintly glowing in my arms. The choice for 3 days, I tended to her, feeding her the filtered water from our reserves, wrapping her in heat foil. She spoke little, but her thoughts pressed softly against mine. I began to feel her pulse within me, synchronized with my heartbeat, a connection beyond comprehension. "You are dying," she said finally. "The air is poison to you now." "I don't care," I told her. "I can't leave you." "You don't understand," she said. "You are becoming." I looked at my hands. Faint traces of luminescent lines had begun to trace across my veins. "What's happening to me?" "When two resonances entwine," she whispered, "they change. I took you inside the field when you were fading. I shared my breath with you. You are no longer only human." Her confession hit like a tidal wave. She had saved me, at the cost of fusing a part of herself into me. "But that means—" "Yes," she said. "If the resonance breaks, we both end." We stood beneath the violet sky, two dying beings bound by accident and love. I told her about Mara, about the earth I had lost, the oceans I could never save. She listened, eyes shimmering softly. "Your sorrow echoes in me," she said. "Perhaps that is why I heard you that first day. You whispered, and your heart reached mine." We both knew what was coming. The planet's neural field was collapsing. The extraction drills had ruptured a primary conduit. A structure we had mistaken for geological crust was actually a synaptic core. Without it, Neurelia's consciousness was dissolving. The Litheri were fading with it. She looked toward the horizon. "If Neurelia dies, I die. But you could still leave." I shook my head. "Not without you." Her eyes glowed faintly, the light flickering like a dying flame. "Then stay," she said softly. "Until the end." The end. The last whisper. The days that followed were a blur of fading light. The ocean lost its glow. The air grew still. I recorded my final log entries, though no one would ever hear them. Log 218. Arcadia mission terminated. Planetary biosphere in irreversible decay. Commander Ellis presumed dead. Remaining crew 1. Emotional state. Irrelevant. But it wasn't irrelevant. Every moment I spent with her was both agony and grace. We shared stories, not through words but through resonance. She showed me visions of her childhood beneath the crystal waves, the vast gatherings of her people who sang to the stars. I showed her memories of Earth, green forests, falling snow, the sound of rain on glass. She smiled faintly. "Your world was beautiful." "So is yours," I said. "Even dying, it's beautiful." When she grew too weak to speak, I carried her to the edge of the sea where we first met. The violet light was fading into pale gray. I held her hand, her fingers warm, pulsing softly with dying light. "I'm sorry," I whispered. Her eyes fluttered open. "For what?" "For us. For everything humans break." She smiled, a fragile, luminous smile. "You didn't break me. You saw me." Her glow dimmed further. The resonance between us began to falter. I could feel parts of myself unraveling, atoms shivering as if deciding whether to stay matter or become light. "I can't lose you," I said, choking on tears I hadn't realized were still possible. "You won't," she whispered. "We are joined now. When I return to the sea, you will follow. Our echoes will blend. The world may end, but resonance never dies." The tide rose, swallowing her feet, her knees, her chest. She looked up at me one last time. "Whisper again," she said. "Like before." My throat tightened. I leaned close, tears falling into the glowing water. "She's beautiful," I whispered. And she smiled, radiant, fading. "I heard you." The light engulfed her, then me. The last thing I felt was warmth, not death but merging. Quiet surrender. Epilogue. Echoes of light. Centuries later, a salvage drone from a Terran research vessel would pass through the Neurelia system. Its sensors would detect faint electromagnetic fluctuations, impossible for a dead world. In the wreckage of Arcadia Station, a single device still pulsed, recording in endless loop a resonance pattern unlike any known language. Scientists would decode only fragments. They'd hear a voice, two voices intertwined, whispering through static and light. "She's beautiful. I heard you." And then silence, followed by a faint harmonic wave spreading through the cosmos, as if the planet itself were still dreaming. Somewhere in that endless hum, two souls remained. Not human, not alien, but something between, singing to each other forever in the dark.